YouTube world? My name is Nicholas Montez, and welcome back to another YouTube channel video. Very ready for the Teenage Movie Critic. I wanted to do this video yesterday, but unfortunately that couldn't happen, so you're getting it today. But today I wanted to cover the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi original movie, Spider-Man. I'm doing it in honor of the 21st anniversary yesterday. I know it's late. Technically, you can still celebrate Marvel, because even though today is Star Wars Day, I'm not celebrating it. I'm technically celebrating the Avengers, which I technically should be watching right now, but I'm watching Guardians 2 to get ready for Guardians 3 tomorrow. But today we're talking about the original Spider-Man. And real quick, if you're new to this little series of videos, I'm basically doing a series called Celebration of Cinema. And basically the way this works is it's different from a normal movie review, where it's basically talking about movies that I've seen before, but I haven't reviewed before, never really caused love, but I want to express my love about this film and basically give you 5 reasons and talk deeply into why I love those films so much. And so Spider-Man is just another one of those films that I think you could definitely go deep into. And before we get started, let's just start off by saying this is one of the best superhero movies of all time. Now, it's not my top 5. Obviously, the winner for that is Spider-Verse, and I'll do a tier list. I'll do a list for the Spider-Man movies one day, but Spider-Man is one of my favorite superhero films of all time. He's one of my favorite characters of all time, and with this film, it goes a long way back of my sister watching it and introducing it to me, which introduced my love for the character and the franchise. So here's my first reason, so let's just get into the video. And we're going to start off with story and Sam Raimi. So if you really think about it, one of the best things when it comes to this movie is really Sam Raimi. He's really the one that put this whole film together. If it wasn't for him, I don't know anyone else that could direct. Maybe James Cameron, but at the end of the day, like, casting Leonardo DiCaprio as Peter Parker sounds like a cool idea, but then you think of the ideas that they put into that film, not so much. But the thing about Sam Raimi that is so creative about him is that he's used to doing horror films. Yeah, he's done superhero films with the Spider-Man trilogy, and of course he did do Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, which I thought was good, but it had problems as I kept rewatching it. But this movie, the way he directed it, like, not just, like, his style of directing is so much fun. Where it's like, you can, like, it's like a twist turnaround where he goes from all these creepy horror films to going to heroic stuff, but at the same time adding that style of Sam Raimiism in it, but also adding this sort of horrifying in it with the Green Goblin character, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But let's just talk about the story itself. Overall, the origin story of our character is absolutely amazing. The movie literally kicks off as you're introduced to all the main characters. You're introduced to Peter Parker as he's this very nerdy kid in high school. He's not accepted like everyone else. He really just has this one friend, Harry Osborn, and he has a crush on a girl named Mary Jane. And you also establish the bullies inside of it with Flash Thompson, even though he doesn't play a big part in this franchise. But then you get the thing of the spider bite, which it's not that interesting, but at the same time, it has resulted in a scene before where Peter asks politely to take a picture of Mary Jane for the school pictures, which I thought was actually kind of nice. And it's like, hey, he finally gets a chance to talk to his girl. That's nice. But then, and then of course you get introduced to Uncle Ben and Aunt May, which I would say is the definitive best Aunt May and Uncle Ben we've gotten in this franchise. And I think it's a little funny that Peter Parker didn't go to a hospital. He just slept the spider bite off, even though he knew it was affecting him. But then once he wakes up the next morning, he can't use his glasses. He doesn't need his glasses to see anymore. He gets more muscular. He starts doing tricks on the wall. His hands start to stick to things. And even you start to realize, like, Mary Jane lives next door to him. And that makes it more interesting. And even throughout the story, even if he gets the powers, he still like thinks like, I want to talk to her, but I want to do this, but I really don't. How do I do it? And even then, as you go along through the story in the school fight between him and Flash, you're established with it. It's really cool. Like, you established all the powers, all the sensory and the close-up shots. It's all amazing. And then the scene where he realizes that he can climb on walls. It's one of the coolest scenes where it's like, you see the little nails pop out of the fingers, and then he just puts a hand on a wall, and on the other, then his feet, and then he just starts climbing the wall, and the music, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well. Just the whole scene is captivated so well, and then he starts to discover he can shoot webs. Even better, though, I don't like the logic of it, where all the other Spider-Man have web shooters. He can just shoot webs, like, physically, like, from his skin. I'm like, oh, that must hurt. Amazing storytelling for a superhero, for a kid. It's like, that's so relatable for us. And then, you also get that scene back at Mary Jane, which I love. And then throughout the story, he starts to, what if I use my powers to impress Mary Jane so I can get a fancy car, I can go to this fight, and maybe I could get her. But then you also gotta realize, once you get to that scene where he didn't stop the robber, where he basically, as you're going through the story, the amazing part about what makes this story so amazing is that he realizes that he shouldn't be using his, he's trying to figure out what to do with his powers. He doesn't think, I should just use it for good, protect the people of New York. No, that's not what he does. He uses it because he wants to impress a girl. As Uncle Ben says, just because you can beat someone up, just because you have the power, doesn't give you the right to use it in the ways you can. With great power comes great responsibility. And Peter just shoves it in his face. He didn't understand it at first, but once you get to that moment that really capitalizes his whole life, Uncle Ben gets killed, he didn't stop the robber, and he realizes Uncle Ben was right. This is what Uncle Ben meant. He meant, my powers need to be used for the greater good. They need to be used for the right situations. They can't be just used for just shenanigans, for that matter. They have to be used with responsibility. And it took a toll on him, and it's the most emotional scene. And really throughout the whole story, it feels like Lion King per se, where you were like the Mufasa death, where it's like you feel for the characters, you feel for it. And in this film, you're sad when you're not crying, but you feel the same way Peter's feeling in that scene when Uncle Ben dies. Because it is emotional. You do like the relationship they had. And then even when Peter Parker graduates, it's like you feel the emotion when he really wanted Uncle Ben to be there, and then he starts, and then they do this whole montage of what people think about Spider-Man, and it's just amazing. Great storytelling, a great origin story. But then you get into the mix of when they introduce Green Goblin in, kind of overlooking that even if he does good, people are going to hate him in the end. And you start to see that as you introduce the J. Jonah Jameson character. And then you also get the stuff of Harry taking Peter's girl. But then you also gotta realize throughout the whole story, and really, I'm kind of speeding through it because I'm not gonna process through every single scene. But really, as you're going throughout the entire film, you start to realize that he can't really tell anyone about his secret, because Spider-Man is always gonna have enemies, and so to protect them, he has to stay at distance. And so it's like, even though he loves her, he has to keep away. And then it results into the amazing swinging scene at the end. Fantastic storytelling. It is great. Amazing storytelling. And he also realizes that Uncle Ben was his father figure when he was like, "You're not my father." But he realizes he is. When I would much rather have a father that actually taught me a valuable lesson than a guy that wants to kill me. Beautiful storytelling. And it's also done thanks to the creators of Stanley that created this character, And also thanks to Sam Raimi for creating this film. The story of this movie, the way that is all executed, it's perfect. Alright, now we're going to talk about the score. Alright, now we get the score, and this is by far one of the most famous superhero scores of all time. And it's all really thanks to Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman is the magic what makes this score open. When you enter the movie with that opening credits, and you hear peak music right there, peak. And even through it, it's not just normal music that you hear in other superhero films. It's iconic. It's organic. It is fantastic. And even throughout the entire film, you love the music. And it's absolutely triumph. It's so amazing. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's a score, like I said, with Infinity War and stuff, but it is an amazing score. So yeah, the Green Goblin is the villain in this movie. Green Goblin is another great part of what makes this movie so amazing. And really, it's also done thanks to Willem Dafoe himself. The performance of Willem Dafoe was great. As you enter the film, and they really enter him in the opening scene where you introduce Peter Parker, you introduce Mary Jane, you introduce the bullies, but then you also introduce Harry Osborn. You introduce the Osborns, Harry Osborn, the son, and Norman Osborn, the father. And just the performance of Willem Dafoe, where you're going through the film, and he wants to get this project out of the masked human potential. And just the performance of this character is so fantastic where he can go crazy, but it also fits into the Sam Raimi movie type, where it's campy, it's wild. And this character fits that type of thing where he can go crazy. And he's a masked murderer. He killed the Oscorp board. He killed the Oscorp military people. He killed all these people. So I was like, this is crazy. This guy's crazy. And throughout the whole movie, he's killing people that wronged him. And he has this belief that like, as he's talking down to Spider-Man, like, I chose his path of killing people, he chose the way of the hero. And they found you amusing for a while, the people of this city. But the one thing that they'll hate more than a hero is to see a hero fail, fall, die trying. In spite of everything they've done for them, eventually they will hate you. Why bother? Amazing script. It honestly, it makes sense. It makes sense. But at the same time, you're kind of sympathetic, and he's understandable, but it's acceptable for him to go crazy and beat on Spider-Man in the end. He's also a very threatening villain as he goes after the loved ones of Peter Parker. He's easily the best Spider-Man villain to date. Now, how can I talk about this movie without talking about the amazing cast of characters? From Mary Jane, which I thought was an interesting character, who she wants to go into the acting business, but before that she goes into the grocery store business. I thought it was a nice little character and had good interactions with Peter Parker. Of course, the kiss scene upside down, one of the most iconic scenes. Harry Osborn I thought was an interesting character to play the best friend of Peter Parker, played by James Franco. But also playing that person that, like, he stole Peter's girl. Not the best. So that's a good character. J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons, fantastic performance. Really fits the character, and the fact that he also appeared in the MCU as well as like the Disney XD shows, amazing. The actors that play Aunt May and Uncle Ben, amazing. Of course, Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin is great. All the characters really fit the roles and the story that they was told, and I absolutely love the characters. So to close out on this movie, I'm going to talk about the impact on society that this movie had, because if you really think about it, of the 3 comic book movies that came out back in the day, that it was Blade, X-Men, and the original, and this one, those 3 movies were the movies that impacted the modern era of comic book films, where we could have the MCU starting with Iron Man, we could have the Avengers, we could have Civil War, we could have Winter Soldier, we could have Guardians of the Galaxy, we could have Black Panther with cultural impact, we could have Spider-Verse, we could have Joker, we could have The Dark Knight, we could have Logan, we could have Endgame, we could have all these movies. And it was all done because of this movie, because they told the right story. And even from the impact that it had on my family, I think it's great that we actually all love Spider-Man. My sister loves Spider-Man, my mom loves Spider-Man, my dad loves Spider-Man somewhat, but I love the impact that it's had on society, and the fact that the whole trilogy went on Disney Plus. It's great. So to close out, I love this movie. It's not top 10. I think it would be top 10 MCU movies for me, but not top 5, but top 10 though, most definitely. It is definitely up there as like Civil War, definitely has like Infinity War, Endgame, Spider-Verse, easily in that era, because this is an amazing movie. So that's my celebration of cinema for the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the about section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. The Danger Force review is coming tomorrow. I know it premiered at 7, but I'll review it tomorrow because I don't do videos after 7:30 or something like that. So, bye. You'll get the Danger Force review tomorrow.